I'm Joe Mathieu in Washington for Bloomberg TV and Radio, and glad to say we're joined in studio now by Ted Leonsis, the founder, chairman, and CEO of Monumental Sports and Entertainment here in the nation's capital. What a treat to see you. Thanks for sitting down with us.
Thanks for the invite.
I'm looking forward to talking with you about reimagining a city, which is an opportunity that does not come along very often, and you have a chance to do it again. But you wouldn't be in this position if it weren't for a deal to move your company, your teams, the Wizards, the Caps, to Virginia, a deal that did not work out. You've said that politics took over. But politics is always part of the deal, right? How come it was different this time?
First, I never signed anything. That's the most remarkable thing. And
it was a handshake.
Yeah, it was a handshake deal. And, you know, Washington, D.C., came here from Lowell, Massachusetts on a Greyhound bus in the mid-'70s, fell in love with the city, went to Georgetown University, and then we stood up AOL and built really the commercialization of the internet not too far away in Virginia. Yeah. And I've always looked at this community, the DMV, if you will, being the district, Maryland, and Virginia. It's the most important market. It's 10 million people. It's the third or fourth largest DMA in the country. And so, you know, D.C., we need a strong D.C., we need a strong downtown. And we own the building, we own the teams, we own the network, the studios here. And so we made a big commitment, and we'll work with the mayor and help to reimagine what should the next version of downtown rebirth look like.
Yeah. I want to ask you about what that looks like, but did Governor Glenn Youngkin get a little over his skis when he shook your hand on that deal? What happened?
I think the governor is a really great executive, and he dealt with what basically everyone is dealing with, a real bifurcated view of what is best for people. And when I said politics took over, this was a great business deal. And we were told that your business isn't wanted here. And so, and that was done not through where we were being located in Alexandria, but by the political machine in Richmond. And so, you know, you get to the point where you say, there's no place like home. And we worked a deal with the mayor and the city council. And, you know, we're a part of that team, and the country needs a functioning, strong, safe, clean, growth mindset Washington, D.C. We're a bellwether, if you will, for the entire country. Sure. And we fell behind a bit pre-pandemic, during the pandemic, post-pandemic. And I'm really glad that there's been this reckoning, if you will, and it's happening in all major metro areas. And now we can move forward in coordination with business and the philanthropy community. We have a unique set of issues here because of the federal government overlay.
Yes, right.
And, you know, just every day we have to deal with things that connect Virginia and Maryland and D.C., like the metro, like the traffic that needs to be mitigated, like the infrastructure dollars that are being spent on roads and road closures. And so all of that, I think we can play a big social responsibility role in helping to make things better.
Well, you're going to play a pivotal role in the future of the city and the downtown area. I heard you mention the other day you might be interested in, speaking of talking like a politician, an honorary title, Vice Mayor of the DDC, downtown D.C., because that's kind of what you are. You joined city officials on a trip to Las Vegas to a retail conference a couple of weeks ago to bring business here. You're representing the city in what is truly a balance of politics and business, isn't it?
Yes, you may not know this, but I was once mayor, elected mayor of my town in Florida. I served for 6 years as mayor. Every time I see Mayor Bloomberg, we joke and call each other honorable. So you should pay a little more respect to me there.
Mr. Mayor, I appreciate it.
Yes, I understand the role that we can play in attracting businesses. And frankly, I said I was surprised at you'd always heard how well managed the state of Virginia is. It has low taxes. It's a great state. But I found it easier to negotiate and work with the city of D.C. than I did with the state of Virginia. And so, yeah, I'm going to go out and be an evangelist for the city, for the mayor, for the city council. I want a higher quality of life for our employees. We bring 2.5 million people into the city every year for our concerts, for NCAA tournaments, for the Capitals, for the Wizards, for the Mystics. We have back-to-back Mystics games.
You sure do.
WNBA tonight and tomorrow night. There'll be 30,000 people or so in those 2 nights coming into D.C. And most of them come in from Maryland and Virginia, and they'll spend money in D.C., pay tax dollars here.
Well, people are talking about the Caitlin Clark effect in the local media today. You're right. You've got 4 games now for the WNBA this season, I believe. Tonight, tomorrow are going to be huge at the Capital One Arena. You've also said that you want D.C. to be the world capital of women's sports. You've described this as a growth stock. How do you make that happen?
Well, I think what we'll look to do is we're second longest tenured owners of a WNBA team. The Mystics are a growing business. I'm chairman of the media committee at the NBA. I know what's going to happen with the WNBA media rights. There'll be a very nice increase there. We own our network. I know what the ratings are locally for women's sports. And so what I'd like to do is make a monumental W, right? We own multiple teams and venues and a network. Let's use the Mystics as kind of the foundation. And I would love one day to have a women's hockey team here. I would love one day to have women's volleyball professional. We should make D.C. the professional women's sports capital. We have a very broad base of ownership executives, Sheila Johnson, Lorene Powell-Jobs, Michelle Freeman. We have the gravitas for D.C. through our WNBA, Bonafides, and through our ownership group. Yeah, we'll make those investments, and I think you'll see D.C. emerging as that capital.
Well, TV is a big deal with an important story right now about NBA rights. You can speak directly to this, or maybe I should say TV is not as big a deal as it used to be, because we're looking at a proposal now. It's Amazon, NBC, ESPN. A big chunk of these games will be streamed exclusively. And I wonder if the owners are going to sign off on this and what you see as the future here.
You know, nothing's been announced yet. There's been lots of reports on it. What I'll say is that the convening power of sports, both bricks and mortar, bringing people into an arena, and then being able to watch the game on multiple devices, your television, your iPad, your iPhone, on a global basis, we've proven how valuable our IP is, our content is. And my expectation is that this deal will be very, very strong for the players, for the owners, for the league itself. And it'll allow us to continue to invest because the game has never been better. Both hockey and basketball, the playoffs, the competition, women's basketball, the entertainment value, the competitiveness is off the chart. And so we now have to take more control and be digital-first companies. That's essentially what the movement is. Terrestrial is going to play a huge part of it. You know, I look at Bloomberg. I've spent a couple hours here today. You were a forerunner in it. You built a platform. It was digitally based. You bought print properties. You have television properties. You stream. You have private networks. Well, that's what we should be doing.
You need to be everywhere is what you're saying.
Yeah, TV.
But what's the end game? Is it direct to consumer? A company like Monumental subscribes to me, say 10 years from now. I'm at home watching a Wizards game on my headset, gambling at the same time. Is that the future?
We want to have deep engagement relationships with consumers, however they want. And I do believe that subscriptions, I look at it more like a software company. We have a software services business model where we get a subscriber, our season ticket holders as an example. They renew in a bad year 85%. In good years, 99%. Someone has to die, if you will, and for the family to lose their season tickets. And many cases, we hear, no, my dad left it to me. I'm stepping into his shoes.
Right.
And so subscriptions business is great, and if you build a big audience that people value by paying, that's the difference than like a website, right? People are paying to come to the games, people are paying to watch these performers, then we license our content to terrestrial, to cable companies, and then more and more we're saying, well, if you don't have cable, if you don't subscribe to a service, we need to get it to you directly. Well, that's just like a subscription.
Sure.
And so we've made a big investment at Monumental. We own our network, the Monumental Sports Network. It's available on cable, on satellite. We've done deals with Amazon in Prime. We're doing deals where we get subscribers directly. And I think we want to control our IP and be able to distribute it far and wide.
It sounds endless if you do it right when it comes to
selling. Well, I think
IP.
partnerships lead to prosperity. And, these are some of the greatest companies, media companies and tech companies. And that's been the new phenomenon now, that the Microsofts and the Alphabets, Googles, the Amazons, the Apples, they are placing a lot of value in the IP itself, as are the TV people, right?
Yeah,
Although I don't think the Comcast NBC views itself as a TV company anymore, right? It's a tech company with a big distribution platform.
Yes. You couldn't have imagined this when you were watching Celtics games with rabbit ears at Lowell High School.
No.
This is another universe that we're in now. But you couldn't have imagined having a second chance to revitalize the nation's capital. We hear a lot about crime, the balance between safety, innovation, and openness. How do you make it safe enough for someone to want to invest, but free enough for people to have a good time?
Well, the city has to continue to find ways to make fair and equitable laws that service businesses and the populace and the voters, obviously.
So business and politics meet again.
Very much so. And I think that was the big breakthrough over the last 6 months, that people understand that if the federal office buildings aren't open and people aren't taking metro or driving and parking and coming into the city and having lunch in the city and buying apartments, renting apartments in the city, that's a bad thing for the local economy. And if we weren't here, those 2.5 million people who come in, they'll come in, arrive at 5 o'clock today. They'll go drink. They'll go eat at the local restaurants. They'll take Metro.
Right.
Metro ridership needs to be increased so that it can do longer hours and make more investments in technology and safety and security. So I think what's happened is there's been awakening that everything is connected, that Metro, that the police, that the traffic mitigation, that the infrastructure investments in roads, all of that comes together to make a higher quality of life. And we have to integrate it and not take anything for granted. That, this is a very competitive world. Maryland, Virginia want to steal D.C.'s companies. D.C. wants to bring those companies back into downtown. And so, you get judged by what kind of results that you get. And I think D.C. now is on a rebirth. We're seeing crime go down. We're seeing Metro coming up. We're seeing tourism having record numbers in tourism. We have to find ways to get the tourist to downtown to eat and dine, because right now there seems to be almost like a fence, that keeps them on the other side.
Constitution Avenue barrier.
Exactly.
It's a real thing. When are you going to buy the Nats?
I would very much like to buy the Nats, and we're very respectful to the process and the family. I think it makes a lot of sense in this super city vernacular to have one platform, year-round teams, and to have the size and scale so that we can compete in terms of payroll, in terms of talent, in terms of infrastructure with Los Angeles, with New York, that, just have bigger markets. And so we're seeing in media, we're seeing in most industries that scale really matters. And, you have to have a growth mindset. And so for us, because we own the winter sports, if you will, and
yes.
we own the network and we own the venues, adding that team, I think is really, really important to the business. But I want to win championships. And the way that you win championships is by having great farm teams and great infrastructure and great coaches. It takes money, and then they have the patience to rebuild the teams. And the Nationals are well on their way to rebuilding a great team.
Does it ride on a regional TV deal?
Right now, I think it's a whole new game in local TV. I don't know what will happen in baseball. I know that we've controlled our destiny locally by buying our regional sports network. It's now, it's no longer NBC. It's Monumental Sports Network. There's the Masson Network. It's on its own, if you will. It's not part of a bigger property, and it carries the two baseball teams. There's a lot of turmoil going on in that industry. We've inoculated ourselves and our fans to that. We've just opened the most advanced technology, invested almost $60 million in a digital-first real studio. It's nicer and bigger than this one.
Wow. Wait, I need to come over.
You should. That's right. We've raised the bar for you. I think you'll go and come back and say, how come they can do that?
Let's do the next one of these in your studio.
Oh, we'd love to do that.
We're invested here, obviously, and we're here to stay in downtown Washington, and I'm glad we can talk about it. We'd like to continue following your story here as well on Bloomberg.
I'm honored to come here, and it's amazing the investments that you've made downtown right on New York Avenue, and we're almost neighbors, so love to come see you.
Well, from Lowell to Washington, Mayor Ted Leonsis, thank you for the time today.
Great to see you. Thanks for the invite.
I'm Joe Mathieu in Washington. This is Bloomberg TV and Radio.